So today we are going to discuss about the sales related to marketing field. So here Sean is with me for describing about the things which are related to sales and marketing communication. He is very professional in his field, so I'm going to ask some questions to Sean. So for the beginning, Sean, can you just give me a little bit introduction to our audience?
Yeah, of course. So like Neha said, my name is Sean. Um, I've been in sales, I want to say for the past 6 years. Um, I started off, regular sales at Canadian Tire to now I work for a big corporation, which most people know as Rogers. I've gone through a lot of different things, a lot of different areas within different companies. And yeah, I'm a recent graduate. Didn't do business at all in school, but it was just something that I just did outside of it. And I love doing sales, love working with people, stuff like that. So I appreciate you having me here and interviewing me for your assignment.
Thank you so much, Sean. So, my first question would be,
Yeah,
what are the most important factors that firms should take into account when it comes to marketing, communication, and sales?
yeah. So for that question, there's three different parts to it. So the marketing side is the first thing you need to understand, and the most important factor for that is who you're marketing to. You need to know your target market. You need to know who you're selling to, what product you're selling, and how it relates to them. That would be the first important factor. Is just understanding um, who your who your audience is. For communication, um, the most important factor for that would be understanding the need of the consumer, but also understanding the need of the business as well. Um, so whether that be by listening or just observing or anything like that, that would be your most important factor for communication. And for sales, it kind of relates back to the both of them. Um, it's just understanding like what your product is, and how it relates to the consumer, and also how you communicate your product um, to other um, target markets and like I said before, consumers as well. It's all about the the desire to sell, um, and how you sell that product to in order to other consumers to make a profit.
Thank you for your answer. So, that was like well connected. I can connect with this as I'm learning
Yeah.
sales, marketing, and communication. I'm studying right now. So, that
Okay.
your points are very relatable to us. So,
Perfect.
we are going to continue this conversation to the second
No
question.
problem.
So, as we are living in competitive era, so for this, I want to ask you, what must firms do to maintain their competitiveness in the markets?
So for me, like I said before, I work for Rogers, so we have a lot of competitors. We have Bell, we have Telus, we have all sorts of different people that we compete with. The one thing that I know that our company stands out on is, first of all, um uh employee maintenance. So when I say that, I mean um Rogers really takes care of their employees. So being competitive in a sales point of view, um that's everyone's competitive in that market, but once you have a team that is well taken care of, um and they have resources with that can help them to be better, or get better. I think that's the biggest thing that companies must do, is invest in their employees and their well-being. um Another thing that firms can do in order to be competitive is, I personally like doing this, is just being the first one there, being the first to market, to get something out there first, um, because then people realize, oh, well, you know, Sean came out with something first, and then someone else followed behind it. It just shows that you have the ability and the willingness and the drive to put something out first, um, where everyone else has to start matching you. So those would be the two big things I would say for um, competitiveness for like what companies should do to be competitive is first of all take care of their employees, make sure that they're good, because once they're good, they're willing to sell for you and do whatever they have to do to in order to hit their targets. But also being the first to market, um, and that allows you to be out there first, and then being able to pivot off of that and make your product better or make your service better.
Yeah, thank you for your answer. So, I want to continue with the same conversation as we are
Yeah,
discussing. So,
yeah,
as you explained me the indicators, so I want to ask you about the indicators for the like how we can monitor the performance. I want to ask you about the performance monitoring indicators. So, can you just like explain me what performance indicators should organizations monitor for their performance,
yeah.
like
So
how they can like calculate the performance.
yeah, so relating back to where I work, um, before I'm gonna say prior to 2021. So, with my company, everything was kind of just tracked through like a computer. Wasn't a really great setup in terms of how we're doing and stuff. And me personally, I didn't know how I was doing until the end of the quarter. Whereas now, Rogers has implemented something called Game Plan, where we're more reliable for our own numbers and tracking our own numbers. Obviously, the computer still tracks and updates everything like that, but um, uh, indicating for us is how much we sell, what our target is, if we hit a stretch target. So a stretch target is when you go above and beyond your original designated target, um, and you go above and beyond, meaning that you're well over into your sales for the week kind of thing. So what I think companies should implement within their businesses is a way that it is transparent enough for the employee to know exactly what they're selling, how they're selling, and being able to compare that on a weekly basis. So, like I said, for example, with me, we have a bunch of different targets. We have targets for hardware upgrades, so people that come in to get a new phone, they're already with Rogers. We have a target for new activations, so people with different companies coming into Rogers. We have targets for attachments, so accessory sales, device protection, Rogers Mastercard. So we have a variety of different targets that we have to hit. And the way that we do it is anything that I do, I mark it off, or I keep count of what I've done, which indicates to my manager and to myself that I'm doing my job. I'm going above and beyond my job, and I'm willing to take the next step into a different position, kind of thing. Because once you're consistent with that and being able to um, indicate that you are doing what you're supposed to do, um, I think that helps the performance, like in the future. Because once you see that, once you see it visually that you are hitting every single week with a specific thing, and it translates to multiple weeks, multiple months, multiple years. It's just an easier way for you to grow and understand what you can do better and where you can go from there.
Well said. So, as you explained about the monitoring, uh, how we can monitor the growth of our company. So, I just
Mhm.
want to ask you, how can data and analytics help in this? Like how companies can use their data and analytics to make it better, to make better decisions, to take like any better uh, adapt any better technologies for the company to make it perfect or increase their growth.
Yeah. So the way that companies could use give me one second here. I have the words here. I just have to put them in a sentence here. Um, Sorry, give me one second. Uh, Sorry, do you mind repeating the question? I lost it. I'm so sorry.
No worries, I can repeat the question for you. So I was asking, how can data and analytics help firm to make better decisions?
Okay, yes. So with big corporations and big companies, everyone collects everyone's data. And being able to analyze that data allows them to really understand their target markets, like we were talking about before. But it allows for better marketing as well. So it kind of relates back to that first question, um, just in a way that analyzing that data allows you to really understand what you need to be selling and what you need to be pitching to your potential customer or your returning customer. Um, it's just an easier way to really get down to the nitty gritty stuff of um, how your product now impacts them and how it will impact them later on.
Okay, so we are proceeding to our last question for this interview. So
Okay.
my last question would be, what method should company employees should successfully connect with their target market? Like, what method should companies employ to successfully connect with their target markets?
Yeah. So I would say reaching out to their existing customers and cross selling. With Rogers right now, we actually have a program that we have to do as employees. It's called StatFlow. So pretty much what we do is we have a system where Rogers computer like head office would generate leads and look into people's accounts and stuff to see who's eligible for an upgrade or who's eligible for um, a significant discount on home services, stuff like that. And they would give us those leads because those people are in our area. So what we would do is we would send our first message just saying it would be essentially a text message going to the customer's phone saying, hey, my name is, Sean. I'm from the Rogers store in Conestoga Mall. Um, you know, it looks like you're due for an upgrade. Um, and if you want to come in, we can definitely chat. Or if you want to reply to this, I can definitely give you some pricing stuff like that. At that point, you kind of get mixed signals from customers because either A, they think it's fraud, or B, they just don't know what it is, or C, they reply instantly and they're like, yeah, 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 like for sure. But I think that would be a very crucial thing for companies to do, just because it gives you another way um, to communicate with customers and bringing them into a store or bringing them into or getting them to buy something else because you actually have someone else reaching out to them and just talking to them. Obviously, after that first message, we have to make a phone call. So that's where we actually set up a time to call the customer, just to let them know, like, what deals we have, what promotions we have going on, stuff like that, and just really updating them on what's going on now compared to um, in the last time they were in store. Um, so I think that's a very crucial thing that we've done, and I think we were the first ones to market with that. Um, so it's a very good thing because it does translate into a lot of sales for our store, but also the company as well. Um, it's pretty redundant. It gets a little boring, but um, that 10-15 minutes that we take out of our day to send those messages or reply to messages to those customers, I believe it brings in about 30% of Rogers' revenue just from that alone. Um, so I think that's a big indicator and a big thing that companies should integrate within their companies. Just because it doesn't cost much um, to have an employee who's already getting paid an hourly wage to just send a pre-made message, and that allows for a customer to come in and spend money in the store, which generates more revenue. So I would say that's a big thing as well.
Well said. So, as you described, what I concluded that for the sales, you know
Yeah.
that you should know the marketing techniques, how you're selling your product, and to sell
Exactly.
that product and to imply the like to use those marketing techniques, you should know the communication skills, how you're talking to your customer, and what are the skills you can use with your customer and market your
Exactly.
product. So I can see that all the three things are related to each other. You can't like do sales without communication and marketing. You can do the marketing without sales and the communication. This is what I just get an idea from
Yeah,
your explanation.
exactly. It all goes hand in hand. Without without sales, there's nothing to market. Without marketing, you have nothing to communicate. And without communication, you have no sales. Everything is interconnected, and um, I don't know if you work a retail job or anything like that, but I would say if you ever have the chance, um, just get a part-time retail job. You'll learn a lot, especially in sales. And once you start getting more deeper into it, you start seeing the connections of how everything is made up, how head office is related to storefronts, how storefronts um, run the entire show, um, in order for head office to kind of make money, right? And that goes back to the marketing, the communication, and the sales, which you 100% nailed, explaining just now. So,
Yeah. So, Sean, would you like to say anything to our audience who are listening to our podcast?
um, not. I, I would just say thank you.
Okay,
Thank you,
so
thank
I'll
you for
explain
having
little
me.
bit. Yeah, so I'll explain a little bit more. Like, what
Yeah.
are the key elements? Like, in one word, what are the key elements you want to just tell them, which they can use in their sales and marketing and communication?
One thing I would say is just be very attentive and have the desire to learn. Because working a regular sales job, sometimes it gets boring. Sometimes, you don't want to do it anymore. But the one thing I could say is once you open your mind to like really understand other different aspects of a business, and you take a little bit of a charge, um, when it comes to like just understanding and listening and looking at how things work, it opens up a whole different side of you. Um, Me personally, I didn't like sales. I was very shy. I don't like talking to people. I like I'm super quiet. After working sales, especially at Rogers, I start to open up and find a groove that works for me. Where now I'm not as shy as I was once before. I can get up in a crowd, speak to people. I can, you know, make conversation, make small talk, and really get to like know someone within the span of 10-15 minutes. Whereas when I was younger and I didn't work in sales, it was a little bit harder for me because I didn't know what to say. I didn't know how to make conversation. I was very quiet, very kept to myself, and it took me a long time to adjust to people. Um, so I would say being having the desire and the drive to learn, um, especially in a sales role, will take you on further in life, um, with that skill. And yeah, that would be the one thing I would say to the audience. Just, you know, if you ever have the chance to work a retail job for a couple months or whatever it is, or just part time, do it. You'll learn a lot. You'll see a lot of things. You'll deal with a lot of different situations, and it helps you prepare for life. Um,
Yeah,
because I
but
think that's the most realist position you can have. That just has like the unknown variable.
yeah. Well said, well said. So, thank you, Sean, for your time, and it was
No
a great
worries at all.
conversation.
I appreciate you having me. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much. Have a good night.
All right, you as well.